typically may fall out of the airplane, and so it's a good important design consideration to have doors on your airplanes. Okay, so now that your brains are all warmed up, or is there anyone who wants to point out something that what their neighbor did that they thought that they didn't think about that kind of opened up their thinking?
I didn't think about the doors of like airplanes or machines. I thought about buildings.
Okay, cool, cool. You had your hand raised?
No, I was saying that he
What
thought
was
about the submarine and
You had a
the
submarine door?
airplane.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. Okay, so next exercise, there's another sheet, another pile of paper on your desk. This one is more oriented to AI, but now we have our brains warmed up, we may be able to think a little bit more creatively. So this is called delete 50%. I want you to delete 50% of the extraneous information. So of the things that you don't consider necessary on your sheet of paper. If you look on it, it's actually, yes. Yes, it's the Google one. So in about 5 minutes, I want you to look through, work together, and look at the Google front page. That's actually from 2003, and talk about what is absolutely necessary or not necessary on the sheet of paper. You circle it, cut it out, exit. Have a conversation about why. Like this is supposed to be talked together. But yeah, what you think is interesting, what you think is needed, what you think is not needed. So what do you guys think about the Google page? This is from 2003, by the way.
I don't think the Google search button is
Okay.
necessary because this is Google.
Okay, it's already knows Google search, exactly.
I would I would leave that, but I would rename that like something like Google search because some people may use a keyboard, but some people may use mouse.
Oh,
So
okay,
I mean,
that's a
some
really good point. I didn't think of that.
I have no idea what is on to look at.
That's I think you search something random. So you can just type in press it and then bring a page of a random search, right?
Maybe.
It's
Maybe.
for like
It's
if
not
you
very
don't know if
clear,
you're bored,
right?
you don't know what to search for, you just click that. Or wait,
But why did you
actually,
Google
wait,
in the first place?
never mind, that's wrong. It doesn't use like the typical search correct like the ranking system. I think it uses like a random ranking system. So you'll get search results you wouldn't normally get. I think that's actually
Random to your perspective. Okay.
I also think that
And
this
you just did like what I did. What do you guys
somewhere
think?
on the bottom because I don't need it here.
that's a good point on that. But these also like useful buttons and stuff.
What says where?
Well, that's like what's it's already highlighted. So if you click in the button, I'm guessing it would then when you search.
I like this. I like this good. Different stuff specific how to do. And gives me the to get better knowledge.
Yeah, but if you think of a modern Google search for the results page of
Back then, Google was new. Let's see, right now or back then? Back then, it was just.
I mean,
I think I'd use an advanced search, but I don't like.
I mean, now it's just.
They are really out of preferences.
I mean, how did it get to that?
As far as they're completely on the time to have it I don't think that people go here first. I agree. My right. Browsers have their own space, right? So I don't have people to look to the market feeds and stuff.
I agree with you. I think these are useful links. I don't know whether they're so prominent, like bigger than
So that was like business wise, they had to have that.
how big this job has to help.
And as a front end developer, I like I understand it's 2003, but I'm just stuck as no margin, like input and status. They have two space between them.
Well, I mean, if you're using a mouse or if you're using
So this is
I don't know,
a
just
minor
give
thing.
me, also here's
I think there's a good reason. But I noticed that a lot of people have trademark in their logo. You need to have that.
or in the bottom would be because it is a company.
I wonder if that is the because I would see
that is
Okay, let's group back up. What did you guys learned from this exercise? Is there anything you pointed out that like that caught your eye that was unusual? Not unusual, but that made you think.
There's something. Most of the things are just not necessary. You
Okay.
just need the basic things.
That is true. I mean, if we look at it today, that is what it happened. As anyone from that group, did you guys pull out anything that you liked or disliked or that caught your eye? Or made you think a little bit more about why they may have gotten rid of some of the things they don't see
For
today?
me personally, it was hard to not be biased because we saw how Google look like now, and it's hard to just look at the fresh eye because we have this experience, searching, and we think that no, it's supposed to be like that. But is it our feeling, or is it something that we were taught by Google itself? It was hard to distinguish.
I mean, I'm feeling lucky, but I mean, I always um think about that button.
Yeah,
I just don't like it. Don't use it. Don't know why it's there.
that is true. I think I've clicked on it maybe once or twice, and it brought me down a rabbit hole, which I didn't appreciate. So I was stuck on Google for an additional hour than I was supposed to be. So, as we all know, this is what it looks like now. But I'm feeling lucky is still on there. What do you think that, honestly, like, what is the percentage of people that actually press that button?
People that are bored.
That is true. Because whenever I'm on Google, I'm always there for a goal. Like, I always know that I'm there to search something. I'm not there to, be taken down a random rabbit hole unless, that happens. I get distracted. So, thank you for participating in my two activities. I really appreciate it. So now let's talk about eliminating the slop. So I'm gonna show you guys a couple of examples of websites that I really like currently because of how different they are. This one, Cash. Can anyone tell me why I may like this website? It's clear, yes.
It draws you to, yeah, it is an app and it represents clearly your user experience that you're going to have as you go through that funnel.
Okay, yes, definitely.
You maybe like color.
The color, yes. My mom, when she saw this as an example, she's like, "Don't show that. The color's so ugly." I'm like, the color is actually a differentiator. It doesn't matter whether you like the color or not. It's different, and that makes it stand out. I personally like that they use the rule of thirds. It's not just the one half. It's not like the 1 and 2 or however you saw in the original AI slop. It's 3. It takes you through a journey. The way money should work. It brings you to here. Watch it. You watch that, and then the call to action is here. So it takes you through a full journey of reading it. I'm sure we've all seen The Goonies. If you haven't, you need to go this evening. Turn it on. It is an American classic. One of my favorite movies. Why may I like this one? It's a different website. It's more of a storytelling website. But why may I like this one? It's mysterious. Yes.
It pulls some of the key elements of the story into one image.
Yes. Perfect. I really like it because there's a design element where it's like a frame within a frame, and you see the leaves are framing the story. So I really like that, and it adds just an element of storytelling. I know this last one is my favorite. I could not get sound to work, so you can't hear it, but purity of noise. So when you put your cursor on that, it actually creates a really beautiful sound. And so they're incorporating sound elements, they're incorporating different ways of looking at it, and this woman's a sound designer, so incorporating sound into our website was vital. But just look at how different it looks. And so why does it look different? Well, I asked Claude. I went to Claude, and I uploaded the website, and I asked Claude to deconstruct it and how it would describe why it's different. This was its response. Yes, let's not read the whole thing, but there were 4 key elements that I pulled out that were most important. It was off-grid. So one of the things that Claude or a lot of the AI templates follow a grid, and it's very normal and it's very easy for it to follow. And said that that's like the easiest thing for it to create is a grid. Fine dots or short lines. I interpreted that to mean imagery and texture. And then word mark top of left, so small navigational elements that tell the user how to use it. And then lastly, overall feeling or mood. How does the website make you feel? All the websites now make me feel sad and depressed because they're so ugly. So this is what it looks like, and I kind of analyzed it, and then I re-uploaded that exact prompt, and I asked it to recreate a website using those design elements, and I got the silence of field. Silence the field. Okay, like it's still AI sloppy, but the element and the substance is there. The essence is there. It's off grid, and there's some texture and elements. So, just to go over again, what was really important for this website, Chiara Luzana, the sound design website. So, mood. What do you want your viewers to feel when they look at a platform? Soft, warm colors. If you look at the one I'm pulling out, the soft, warm colors, it feels more warm and inviting. Breaking the grid. So that was also really important. Breaking the grid, the sound, the silence of the field. See how it's like, it's not fully, it's not all lined up one by one. It's different. It breaks out of that. Imagery. This imagery right there of like the sound particles, the texture, that creates an element that like this essence of sound. So how else could you portray sound if it were not just the dots? Does anyone have an idea? Yeah, visualization of waves. So maybe instead of using the dots, the visualizations of waves moving in the background, I don't know how great that would look on the web, but the idea is there. So if you kind of iterate on that, then you can pull more imagery out. And lastly, wayfinding. So wayfinding just in general is really important. It means elements such as labels, structural elements, and navigation ground the viewer on what to look at, okay? So right there, it's kind of small, but I asked Claude, and it said that usually it doesn't have like those evident wayfinding signals, so you have to call it out and tell it to put in wayfinding signals. So right there was a bit like a hamburger menu. Obviously, if you iterate a little bit more, you can make it a little more obvious. But overall, that was the main message. So how is this different than what it actually creates? So again, I asked, why do you create what you do? What do you do? Like, how could I, break that, right? And it came up with some really interesting things. It said it centers everything, or basically, everything is in line with each other. So I pulled this out. Yeah, it's safe alignment, and it's not that interesting. Everything is one on top of the other. Decoration instead of structure, designing without intention. So intention is really important when it comes to design. It's like the Cash App, the green is there. The intention is to it's green, it's obvious, it's yours, it gives a branding sign. What is this even showing? Like, I don't get it. I feel like it's just there to show the platform, but like, what am I supposed to see from the platform, right? Like, it's just layers upon layers, and it doesn't even tell you how it works, right? Scale timidity. Playing it safe with font size. Yes. All the font sizes are the same. Like, it's common font sizing. It's not bold, it's just there. It's not obvious, it's boring, and all the fonts are the same type of font. They're all sans serif font, and it's so aggravating. And lastly, template galore. Copying the typical aesthetic instead of making one. It's like because the AI makes an average out of everything, so it just literally, it all looks like one template. The typical layout, left and right. The left tells you what it is, the right shows you what it does, but without doing it well.
I'm sorry, but the thing is that it's not AI invented this type of layout. It's how people were designing similar websites. So do you think that they also recovered?
I don't think I think it's the average of all of them. So if you notice, like if I go to all the software as a service website, all the websites look the same.
Yes.
And so and I think it's the average, and I think it's also come down to conversions as well. So that's a whole other topic. I'm just mainly focusing on the visual part of it and how you can stand out against all the competitors, because everyone is selling software as a service, but all of the software as a service looks the same. How am I supposed to know which one's which? So this is, you look confused in the background.
No, I had a question.
Yeah.
For that. So from a like design of your business, design of profitability, you go towards conversion.
Yeah.
Design of impact, design of brand, you're going towards imagery. How do you balance those out? And is there like is there a metric that you see that drives success in both of those?
That's a great question. I really like that question. I actually, so this is where I'm coming from my thoughts. So a lot of the websites that I've seen, like for example, I was looking at McDonald's. I was looking at the origin of McDonald's, right? I don't know. I'm thinking about websites versus also applications as well, because a lot of people are going to the app platforms too. So I don't know. I did this as an example because it was the easiest and cleanest as like from a design principle standpoint. Because going through all the platforms, it's a lot more principles. Um, I think people have been avoiding working on their websites because everyone is already knows that they exist and they're going to their platforms. So I also don't know how many people are actually going to the websites versus they're just looking at the platforms instead. I don't know if that answers your question. I don't know if that does not answer your question at all.
No. Well, so like what I hear in your presentation overall is that by creating beautiful, engaging design, I'm going to communicate a lot more information about my brand. And if you communicate a lot more information subtly through movement, through color, through shape, through imagery, that I may actually have a better job of at least having an impression of what I do, driving into like an actual conversion of like selling more when they actually click through versus getting them to click through that first thing. I was wondering if there's any research or if there's anything in your mind about like the impact of designing in this way, driving to better business outcomes down the road.
Well, I know for Lego did find better conversions with the one from 2020, because like that, because it was more clear, it was a lot more personalized as well, because people are going there to buy versus to have an experience. So I do think that conversions are important when it comes to that format, but I do believe that I don't have statistics at the top of my head, so I'm not gonna BS you and tell you what I have. But I do think that there can be a good balance because there is like, for example, like Shopify. Shopify wasn't finding good conversion rates. They had a certain color of their button. They changed the color of their button and increased their conversion rates by 10%.
Wow.
So I think that you can use design to increase conversion rates, whether that's changing the template overall or that's changing the color of a button. Those small changes can have a large impact. So I think you can focus on small, tiny details to help with conversion rates, like changing the color of your button. That the AI gives you this one color if you change to another. So, I hopefully slightly answered your question. So this is my overall final words. Give your AI permission to color outside the lines. Let it explore a little. Challenge your AI. I hate saying that, making it sound like it's a person, but it is not. It's your own machine. Give it permission to color outside the lines. Tell it to break the grid. See what it comes up with. Tell it to play with the fonts a little bit more. Change the mood, because usually you'll get like that black on the white because that's just a typical layout it has. So yeah, overall, give it permission to color outside the lines. And so yeah, that's Napkin Sketch Studios. Thank you so much. I also just want to tell you a little bit about what I offer as a design consultancy. So as a design consultancy, I offer 3 things: shiny object sprints, basically founders stuff, choosing a direction. We kind of do like a 1 to 2 week sprint, helping them find direction because I know a lot of founders have many ideas they don't know what to focus on. So making sure you have one defined problem, and a prioritized a problem opportunity map. Customer insight mapping, products with traffic but low conversions. For example, you have a clinic that's not getting many patients. How can you change the customer experience, make it a little bit more engaging? There's a couple clinics that I've encountered that has happened. Also, rapid concept development. You have an idea in your head, you need to get it out quickly, you need to get a pitch deck for investors, and you need good imagery for people to understand what you're actually selling. So in that includes concept sketches and user flows, understanding how the product works, because that is very important. And yeah, thank you so much for coming to my short little talk about beating the AI visual slop. Napkin Sketch Studios, my website, my email, and my phone number are below in case you want to chat some more, talk a little bit more about AI slop, talk a little bit more about conversion rates, all that type of jazz. So thank you. Any questions, comments,
So
concerns,
from
or
my
jokes?
understanding, you recommend to include this like um, text, this request in prompts. Like, do you recommend like include like play with this, like do this, or maybe go and say something like do not use? So do we need? Do you think it will be more effective to provide like some examples how it should behave than maybe how it shouldn't?
So this is from my experience. So I don't know if you guys have different, but what I usually like to do is I like to give it examples of something that I like. So I'll go into Pinterest and I'll find maybe like 3 examples of a mood that I like, or like a font or the way it's designed, and I will say like, I want you to emulate this. Ask me questions as to why I like that, and then we can kind of have a conversation from there. Whenever I type into AI, I said I kind of do a little bit of both, but I also tell it to ask me questions. And then when I find it to ask me questions, and then it goes more thoroughly, and then it kind of gives me more of an image of what I'm looking for, and then I ask it to give me examples of like tiny thumbnails as well, and then I'll call out what I like and what I don't like, and then I'll model some more things off of that. But I don't. Did that answer your question? Was that helpful? Yes. No. Okay. Any other questions?
Okay, so I have a lot of them. So
Okay, perfect. Keep them coming. Keep them coming.
Yeah. So is there any way how we can objectively like judge our design? So we are here, like at least myself, I'm not like an industrial designer, or I'm not a designer as well.
Okay.
So like if I like vibe coded some application or just did something, so how can I objectively in I have like a judgment, but is there any objective metrics? How can I say this is garbage or this is good? So is there any
Yeah.
like I know that there's a Google metrics, also accessibility metrics. Is there any like design specific metrics?
Okay, so design, I guess from like a fundamental existential point of view, design always has like a subjective and objective point of view. I mean, there are some fundamental design elements that you can always look at to incorporate into what you create. For example, hierarchy. Like when you squint your eyes, can you tell from the title like what's most important, what's least important? So like from this, if you close your eyes and squint, you can see napkin sketch shoes at the very top. So objectively, like that's doing its job. You can tell, like I guess you can look at it from a perspective of what's doing its job. So for example, another design principle is called emphasis. So for example, if you had, let me try to find an example. Okay, emphasis, or so I colored all these differently, so your eye immediately goes to the shiny objects. Is it telling you what it's supposed to do? Your eye is just supposed to look at that. So I guess that's another objective design principle of telling your viewer how to look through your website. So for another example, like a call to action button, is the scale or the size of the button big enough so your viewer can click on it and see it? Like those are some objective metrics that I think you can follow to see if your viewer understands it. And what I will always say is like always put it in front of your viewer. Always see how they use it, because that's most important. Because if they can't use your product, then no one will. Like you can't just assume that you know what your viewer wants, because no one knows what they want until they tell you.
How would you redesign this sloppy sauce hero page?
Which one? The one like not hopefully not this one. So
No, the one that you showed us with the like an example of this one. Yeah.
This one?
So how would you like so because the examples that you show, they are amazing, but they are mostly for creative stuff, like
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah.
We were mostly like we want to sell AI,
Yes.
ChatGPT under the hood,
Okay.
So we will design something like that. So can you give us a practical example?
Yeah.
What would you like
Okay. So
change here?
first of all, I would tell you to X the copy and totally rewrite it because as a viewer, I don't know what I'm buying. What is ITSM and UEM unified? Someone tell me what that is, and then you can go use it. I don't. I don't code. I don't know anything about let someone who's never ever coded before or knows what that is. I don't even know what that is. So first of all, the language is really important. This is not visual. It is a way to understand what the product is. So deliver better AI service outcomes with seamlessly integrated IT service management. That needs to be changed. So yes, it's not design, but I'm telling from like a storyline and product narrative that needs to change. Number two, the scale of this title and this, it's too similar. I would make this a lot bigger. Like that is not helpful at all. So make that a lot bigger. Right here, I don't know what this is. It's not calling it out. It's not clear. I don't know what this service is. The font is too small. I'm like this is not from like a super creative artsy standpoint. This is like from just like a practical tangibility thing. I would make this a lot more clear as to what that actually is selling because your viewer doesn't know. Your viewer's gonna look at it. I hate going onto websites that just say book a demo, but I don't know what the demo is for, right? This Ninja One, like the font there is really, it's like it's small. It just to me, it's just not. I'm not understanding like what this product is from just looking at it. So I think that's what a lot of that's what I'm struggling a lot with like the SaaS product website pages is that I don't know what they're selling. So just from a standpoint that way, it's not as visual. It's not answering as a visual, but that to me is what a big problem is. And this free trial and watch demo, I would change the color probably a little bit, make it a little bit more obvious because this back color is just not, it's not speaking to me. And there's not much personality. So I would work on changing probably a couple of the colors as well. And the font. The fonts, all the fonts are the same. They're all like a sans serif font, making them have a little bit more character, a little bit more personality will make your website stand out without having to change too much of the format as well. Because maybe this is like a, it's typical. People understand, like people expect this, but I think if you kind of change the font, make it have more personality and pizzazz to it, people would probably be a little more appreciative. Like, be more empathetic for your viewers. Like, make them appreciate the thought and care that you put into this website page. It just looked like someone just put it together without caring for you. Yes.
The only thing I'll say, unfortunately, I mean, I know what they do, and what they're putting on the page is for a very specific group of people who know what it is and were directed to that website and had to see that simple little dashboard screenshot just so they had the confidence to send a big paycheck for the security product. So I would almost submit that while it doesn't make sense to most designers, that was bait for a very specific target audience.
I want to push back a little bit on that though.
Uh-oh.
What I want to say is that it does, but I really appreciate when you go to a SaaS website, something, and it explains you right away with no initials what is it about. So it's the same. It's the kind of website that we use. And I was thinking that the first examples, I like them, I love them, but I feel like there's something missing because I am used to have more information in the website. So how can you balance that situation about the different audiences? What the user is expecting depends of what is the audience
Yeah. So,
looking for.
do you want me to answer that question? Okay. So in design, we have this thing where it's like designing for extremes. So I'm gonna give you an example. Have you guys ever used the OXO potato peeler? Bear with me for a second. It's like the rubber gripped potato peeler. It's very popular. It's squishy. No. Okay, I guarantee one of you guys have possibly used it. And so it says ribbing on it. Anyway, if you were to look up an OXO potato peeler, it's very common. It's very common in most households. So that was designed for a woman who had arthritis, because the original potato peelers were very uncomfortable for her to use, right? So just taking that same design principle of designing for an extreme, because then once the woman with arthritis could use that potato peeler, everyone could use it. So we're gonna take that to, we're gonna apply it to this. If everyone can understand your platform, or if the lowest, I wouldn't say the lowest common denominator, but if a basic average person can understand your platform, then everyone can understand it, and it's so much more easy to understand it, and you don't have to go through all the jargon and have to think twice as hard. You want to reduce someone's cognitive load when approaching a website like this. You want to make them think less, buy more, right? So if I have to think twice what ITSM unified is, I'm going to probably have a less likelihood of purchasing your product because I have to think harder about what it actually does. Just tell me what it is. I have to think less. I don't want to have to think. I have too much thinking, but yes.
I have a history of challenge. So I was working in real estate startup, and
Okay.
we had a designers, and they were very dedicated. But the thing is that you don't want only create some amazing stuff. You also want to earn some money, you know.
Yes.
And like we were creating a new construction houses platform. So
Okay.
it was basically a Zillow, but more like a niche, you know. And at first we were like delivering some very creative solutions, but then our designers switched to more like a predictable um, pages view, and they explained this by the fact that we need like earn money. We need people to buy houses,
Yeah.
and people are more. They got used to the visual of the Zillow and similar platforms like Homes.com or Realtor.com. So they are like the patterns that users have, like so they, for example, open and see the listings of houses in forms of cards, or for example, if you see look at this page, like usually people expect like book a demo on the right, and logo on the left. So where's like I don't know if this duplicates the question that was before, but sometimes we cannot be 100% creative because there are some expected patterns in web that you cannot break if you want people to actually use your website. So do you know like do you
Yeah.
understand what I mean?
I really get what you mean, because people are like expect, so if you remember like Airbnb, you go on that website, you expect it to look a certain way, you expect it to kind of show up on cards, and I agree with that. Let me think about that, because I definitely agree with the fact that people have certain patterns of behavior. You don't want to necessarily break it because then you don't want to make them frustrated, and you want to make sure that they go through the proper steps of hitting the right buttons, right? But at the same time, I think that there is an opportunity to break out a little bit with you changing the font, as I was saying, like changing up the fonts, changing up the scale a little bit to make it stand out, to have a little bit more. Like if you look at the Cash App website, right? Sorry guys, sorry. Like I think this is a pretty good job of. I don't know the conversion rates on this website. I'm gonna tell you that. Like I don't work for Cash App. But I think it does a really good job of not necessarily breaking the patterns of behavior. It still has a sign up and login right at the corner. People still expect that. It has a call to action button that says get started, and it has the app right there in the middle. It's not the typical like left and right, but it does have all of the elements that are there. So I think there's an opportunity to play around a little and to have a little bit of that freedom while still maintaining some of those main like navigational signs, like sign up, login. Like I mean, this if you just bear with, like, okay, they could have always put this right here on the side, taken this, put it right here, put this up right here, and it would look exactly like the AI slop that I showed you. Like that's literally the only thing that they changed was they did a rule of thirds instead of the half and half. So I think there is an opportunity to play around, not necessarily making it super artsy like the ones I showed you. Those are more of an extreme example, just to kind of get your brains thinking a little differently. But it's taking all the same elements you would have originally seen and just putting it in a slightly different format. but it's not like totally breaking the bank in that way.
But I also think that there's a few things, like even like Dan was looking at the swiping.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's fun. It's built the same way. It's built in a way that it's not frustrating me, it's not confusing me, but the swipe or something just flows there. You know,
Yeah.
it's a little bit different.
Exactly.
Could be the round of the boxes, or I don't know, the round corners, just like small things that make it just a little bit more interesting.
Yes. So it's not necessarily using like all the typical sizings and stuff. It's just like slightly different that makes it stand out like a little bit more. Yes.
Any thoughts around like the cookie disclaimers that always pop up?
Oh my god, I hate those. I hate those. Okay, so when I was living in Italy, in Milano, I don't know if there's like a law in Italy, but
In Europe.
in Europe, yes, in Europe. I think there's like a law in Europe that literally every single site that you goes on has to have cookies, and if you reject the cookies, it literally like blocks you. As a user, I hate that. I don't know how to solve it, get rid of all cookies, or make them less obvious, but as an experience, as like a person who goes to those websites, it absolutely irks me because I have to press a button every single time, and then if I don't want the cookies, then I have to go through all the check marks and everything, and then I make sure. I'm against cookies.
Can it be like? Can it just be like a subtle thing, or does it have to be like in your face to like get be approved or whatever?
I think it has to be like something on the bottom. Maybe like for an accessibility thing. Like how their websites are rated through accessibility, which is one of the other reasons why the websites look a little bit like they do today. They all have to follow some accessibility. They all have to follow a rules like YAWGC accessibility rulings. Like if you upload your website to Google and it ranks you on accessibility, it has to have like a certain rating, especially for like UX UI. But I will say the accessibility rules do kind of kill design in a certain sense because they all go off in like a certain rule book, and then it makes everything design. You shouldn't have to follow a rule book to be a designer. Like that just kind of ruins the whole point of design. You guys have some great questions. You guys are really making me think. I love it.
I have another one.
Yes.
What about chat sidebars? Like
Chat.
like every like a lot of apps have a little chat like window that pops up.
Yeah, and they pop up if they pop up automatically, I automatically like want to leave your website. Like I never think it should be an automatic pop up. I feel like you should always have to click on it in order to get that chat. Yeah, but I do know sometimes it can be a bit difficult. For example, like my parents, they own an ENT clinic, and my mom was working for a very long time on trying to get the right type of chat to come up and down, not to open up automatically, because she said that like click-through rates were reduced when they went through, and it just like popped up automatically. Kind of pissed off the customers. Any other questions? Well, if not, it was great presenting to you. If you guys have any feedback, any comments, critiques, stories, I'm a designer. I'm always looking for feedback. That is something I greatly appreciate because it means that I can always improve myself, get better, and give you guys better presentations and workshops. So if you guys have any comments, stories, jokes, please let me know. That's something my Latin teacher would always say at the end of every class. Comments, questions, concerns, or jokes. Thank you guys.
Stick around here till 8. So till 8 you're free to stay here. Like I still waiting for like the parking renovation tickets if someone needs them. So you need to wait for me.
Hi, Zoe. I need to buy a potato peeler.
You need to buy potato peelers?
Yes.
Okay.
I need to buy one.
Buy
I don't know where
potato
it is.
peelers. They're about $15 on Amazon.
Okay.
Thank you guys. How was it? Thank you for being an active participant. That was very interesting. I don't know. Nice.
did a really good job. Just the questions, and I just had to ask again and again and again.
You know, I decided not to tell the individual questions, but I
So
said
that
that
there's
so that
some
there's some original content and I when I sat to that little version and that I was thinking that it's sort of
Say it all without saying no.
That's why that's called special.
I need to help you guys more, but
What browser is this?
I can do it. Oh, she's scooter. She has a scooter.
Yeah.
I'm 18. Yeah, I can be 21 if you want. I know, that's what I was thinking. I can be 25. I can be whatever you want. I love it.
Jump from here. Just jump.
I know, yeah, so it's you can see commercials on Netflix too, and then she goes off, like, I'm not sure if I hear you, I love that, you know, yeah, I use Claude. Honestly, I'm telling my phone right now, so.
Meditation. Yeah, meditation. I meditate like an hour early in the morning. Just like slow down and just breathe and just think. That's all I do. Always think.
I'm not a developer, so I'm using Claude to make my so I'm not as knowledgeable about like coding in a sense. My dad and I have been working a lot together actually. Yeah, my dad he's actually been like on 24/7. So he works like he has like 5 regions going on right now. So while he's on vacation, there's like nothing for him. So like he comes back and like half of the work is already done. So my dad's definitely more knowledgeable than I am, but we're working on an application together right now. Into the networking. So like whenever you go to like networking events and you have a lot of business cards, we have to like super limited way to like take pictures of this card. You need to upgrade it.
Yeah, I live near it today.
Yeah, so this would be on your phone.
I just walk. Oh, I just walk around. Oh, is that right?
But this would be organized over here. You see the color, the lights.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's automatic. So if you have any more questions,
That's what I do.
Codex is for the real
I'm a big person.
Quad's more.
Oh yeah, I also the thing is that we to like to the point I live Boston.
Near Boston.
I love the community.
I live my whole life in the terminal UI.
I love
I was
the
born
terminal
here, but
UI.
then I moved there.
Extraordinarily
I
novel.
love Oakland because it's very distinct.
Yeah, no,
And
I never
real
came.
coder, like someone who's not a coder, makes
Like,
it
I
feel
lived my
like
whole life.
Yeah.
so I think they definitely are some like fun, colorful.
Yeah, that's my mom.
Which is what I'm trying to say about like the platform. You still want your computer to have good internet. Yes, it is for long enough.
Like,
It's mid-layer, like
yeah, no,
interface or
like it's slow to yes and no, but simple. It's like it's literally those are three platforms. Like this. Yeah. So
So what I do is I
like
give it what I want.
south here, north here, and then like here you have east, you have the
No, whether it's a freshman, so I'm still doing that. I do every first, even if it's like
I wonder if it's really there's a skill in art. Okay. Well, I've got. I don't know. You said that looks like so.
I think that's the thing with technology. I think, I mean, it depends on your technology. You always have to have an intention. Like, for example, every job has heavy, not everything has to be done. Yeah, instead of building a man-design website, build a man-design website. Build like a therapy. Like that's the main like a lot of any SaaS.
Standardize the dark modes.
Oh my god. Exactly. I do like the dark mode so I have the dark mode on at the same time.
I just want my money. I just give me my money. Give me my money.
You're right.
Yeah, but I do think there are some really cool websites. I'm a designer.
Everyone does some of it. Norway. Whoever needs car recommendations.
So that is usually paid for by your unit. So depending on what grocery store chain. So it's called trade spend. And so you're using they'll charge back. So you'll grocery store order like a $72,000 order of right? And you're like, no, I'm gonna make X amount of money on this. And they'll just start deducting production. So the distributor will make up all these lies of what they're actually doing to advertise your product, or if you're doing provide a tasting payment setup, or they'll say, we took two cases off your house first, stuff like that. It's through this complicated mafia-based system, honestly. It's a fucking mafia. I literally walked out. I got screwed out $360,000 2 weeks ago. They're literally criminal investigation. I like the design you had for that product. That was great. You get a stretch rate. Yeah. Well, it was really funny. It was really cool because we basically reverse engineered a couple products that were sellers on their shelves, and then we did in that business was we specialize in taking formulation that was dyes and additives and stabilizers and stupid, and we would reverse engineer it to be both pleasurable and enjoyable mouthfeel, great to drink, great to eat, but it didn't have any of that. No, it's because that's how this system works. It's because he wasn't connected to the system. Well, you can, it's just accurate. But you go to like Jack and Norris. You go to Jack in San Diego, right? One, the advertising company that puts the Jack in Jack, right? Like great branding, the balls on top of your car that you use in the store. But you go inside, there's a Jack box inside where you as an employee, you as an executive go and use, right? And the tastings that they have, the experiments with the products, it's just like it's literally in your workspace. I can assure you that there's not a McDonald's Max McDonald's sitting on the second floor in a McDonald's tower. So there's this disconnect with the product you create. And that's, if you look at our food system, in the 70s, Philip Morris, all the tobacco. Yeah, exactly. So you get these. I changed what I do. It got pretty big in the world of most beautiful way possible. Not in the middle of Yes. Yeah, now I have a working predictive analytics. was talking, I went down to what the web space or whatever it was downstairs. Ted from there was giving me some great visual dashboard visualizations. I'm trying to solve this problem. Like you call it management without visualizing. You're making a dashboard after dashboard, and I'm just like, there's so many fucking dimensions and so many threads. So you're like 28 pages that are going on, some criminal, some state, some night regulatory, and like I'm not under these criminal stuff, but other people are, right? And then 14 deployments, and then there's like cascades, and they group up, like I fractured the opponents, and so now instead of doing one opponent, I'm doing 14 opponents. How do they visualize information, how money, how the point system goes through this, how it's gone into the same like dashboard, and like the visual stuff. Yeah, so it's gone to the visual explainer side, and this is why I like.
Thank you. Thank you for your help. Yeah, it's there.
Thank you so much for this. We really appreciate it. And your questions too.
When you're like, okay, what about you run it as a campaign, run it as this. StarCraft. Yeah. That's a pretty good view up here.
Next time you get this call. What's your name again?
His name's Colin.
Colin?
What's yours? Yeah, the interesting thing on like CPG design.
Yeah.
Alright, so this is where Colin gets into crazy world. So two things. The FDA and the FDA CFRs put this like these constraints.
What's a CFR?
It's like an annoying fucking rule that makes it so you don't super professing. It is a annoying rule that stops you from coffee. So like and 49% of school, right? So like I'm legally liable for our products. They can come after my house. Right?
Oh wow.
And so like for our former products. And so like if you give me allergens, take it wrong, you can turn sideways. So there's rules that make sure you don't kill people, but then you also need to design the product in a way that's exciting to them.
Yeah.
Augmented reality, have you started playing with this?
I have not. I did design for a little bit.
Oh my god. So like in the fashion space, they've been playing with this like Nike Redfit, where they have like augmented reality type of monitoring, like visual approaches and shit.
Yeah. Have you read Upton Sinclair's like The Jungle? I heard like.
Oh yeah, I turned vegetarian for 6 months ago.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it didn't stick. Bacon just it got me. How do you
Place on the bottom.
Okay. Oh yeah, I mean, don't get me started on the poison.